Hello, everyone. I am thrilled to have Brooke Erickson. She is a functional holistic nutritionist with a huge passion for helping people really see nutrition in a different way. She is the founder of Nourish Thrive, where she helps and empowers her clients to really take a look at their health from a holistic approach. So, finding the root cause, both mind, body, and soul. And so she does everything through a deep, holistic, and individualized approach, also incorporating human design, which I am very excited to ask her all the things. And she really, I don't want to tell her story, but I know that everything started from watching her own grandmother battle with leukemia and just realizing the power behind unintended stress, emotions, processed foods, and it really built her mission towards helping others. So I'm really excited to dive in and get to know you a little bit. So if you don't mind, kind of give us a background on you, and then we can go into what led you into all the things.
Okay, awesome. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I've been so looking forward to this conversation. So I basically got into nutrition, which I'll get into in a sec, kind of how I got on there. But it's been about 10 years that I've been in private practice now and really focused on root cause medicine, functional medicine, getting to the root cause. I love it. It's amazing. I've had amazing success with it. And I think for me, the thing that's kind of pulled in this other human design element is I kept seeing people who would do all the right things. Had these chronic, gut issues or
Mhm.
anxiety or whatever it was they were coping with. And we would get there, we would get, 70% of the way there, maybe 80% of the way there. And they were doing all the supplements and the diets, and we'd done detoxing and gut support and you name it, we'd done it. Right. And
Mhm.
we were still stuck. And I really started to see this underlying root cause start to emerge that really had to do with more of this emotional or stress or trauma, just this imbalance that I was picking up on that I was like, I can't fix that with supplements, So
Yeah.
I, on my own journey, kind of came across human design, and just immediately for me and my own experience with, I had adrenal dysfunction pretty bad back in 2014.
Mhm.
Um, and now that I understand my energy and how my energy works, it makes so much sense why I experienced that. And just connecting all those dots, that was a huge aha moment for me where I was like, oh my gosh, this is the missing thing that I needed to really help my clients fully heal, right, from the true root cause. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think, and I'll ask you about what human design is in just a moment for those that don't know. And what I found with even what I do know about human design is a lot of it gives us permission to not fall into this like category of being. It really helps us understand how our innate energy works.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm all about energy, so like
Yeah.
you just lit my heart up. But it's because like we all function so differently and we've been so conditioned to be cookie cuttered in every single approach across the board from our jobs to our nutrition, which we're finally kind of coming away from, even down to our physical wellness. So how we show up in the gym and these different activities. And I just know that you're going to wow us with how human design can even help you decide like, how is it that I do need to take care of my body? How do I need to incorporate rest or even down to communication?
Yeah.
So, okay, tell us a little bit about human design because I know that's like a really hard thing to do in a short. So, tell me some highlights. Yeah.
Yeah. So human design is, just think of it kind of like an energetic blueprint, right?
Mhm.
So it's this stamp that you get when you come into this life that basically says, okay, here is your soul's curriculum, and here's how your energy works in this life, right? So it's a combination of both modern and ancient sciences. So it includes something called the I Ching. It includes the chakra system. And then it also layers in astrology as kind of the framework of how that is initially kind of calculated, I guess. And so it uses something called a body graph, which has 9 different centers. And based on how those centers get defined or undefined, really has a lot to do with your conditioning, which is a longer subject, but the basics of it, the high level, is there are 5 different energy types. And so if you just solely start with learning what your energy type is, each energy type has a way that it interacts with the world, right? They have their own aura. And there are 3 types which are called non-energy types, and there's 2 that are considered more energy types. And that just means the energy types have access to consistent, sustainable energy, and the non-energy types do not. So, 70% of the world is this energy type, which is a generator or a manifesting generator. And so they're kind of like the Energizer bunnies of the world, right? They get up, they're the doers, they get stuff done. They wake up, they've got a full tank of gas, they go through the whole day, they burn it all up, and then go to sleep and do it all again. I am a non-energy type, so I'm in the 30%. I do not have access to that energy, and hence the reason I had this adrenal burnout, right? I had finished undergraduate school, I was doing an internship, I was planning a wedding, we had moved. I mean, there was like a million things going on, and I was literally driving to my internship at 10 in the morning, and I was falling asleep at the wheel. Like the scary shaking your head, oh my gosh, I can't drive. And it was happening ongoing. So I really saw the functional medicine practitioner that I was interning with. That worked out nice. It was like, I think we need to do some lab work here. So I did the whole lab work thing, figured out I was having massive cortisol adrenal dysfunction. I had MTHFR. A lot of things kind of came up in that conversation. And it was fine. And I got better. But now that I understand the energy piece of me not having access to that sustained energy, I could have prevented all that had I known how to work with my energy better. Right.
Wow. That's so, yeah. Can you go over just like each of the types briefly? Like, I know there's so much to the types. So I only know because the reason why I only know what I know about a human design is because it's so vast and it's so in depth and it's really, really fascinating.
Yeah. It's very mechanical in the way that it's like a tool. It's like this assessment tool that helps you just understand. That was the biggest thing I love that you mentioned, just giving yourself permission to be you. That was so huge for me because in a world, especially as a non-energy type, and I'll talk about those 3 here in a sec, when you're a non-energy type, there's pressure from the 70% of the world to keep going and doing and grinding and get up, and you're lazy if you're not constantly pushing. And that is exhausting, and you feel guilty if you don't have the energy for that. So I remember when I first learned that, I was like, oh my gosh, so I'm supposed to rest and take naps and I need to play more? That's amazing. That feels so authentic to me, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of generators are out there that are like, hey, I want to take a nap too. So, but it's just kind of a different, I don't know, it just connects those dots. So let's talk about the energy type first. So there's what are called generators, and then there's a subset called manifesting generators, which are kind of like a hybrid of 2 types. So a large percentage, like 37% of the population, or 37% of the population roughly is what's called a pure generator. And so again, these are the people who the main thing that they want to do is every type has a strategy and then they have an authority. And so this is kind of the guide of how you make decisions, how do you engage with the things that are in alignment for you. So the big piece of how I tie all this back to health is you want to be in alignment with what is true and authentic for you. And when you come from that space, you don't have discord in your life that then creates physical symptoms, right? So in order to do things correctly as a generator, you have a sacral kind of gut instinct response to things, right? So you might be familiar with like, if I were to ask you, a bunch of yes or no questions, you do really great at going, or like that's your response. You're like, ooh, let me feel into this, or and that's what you're tuning into. And then when you get an you're like, great, going for it. And you could enter into whatever that is. So you're responding to things in life. Okay. Manifesting generators are also responding, but they're a little bit different. They have kind of a 5th gear is how I like to say it. Right. So they're going to respond to something And then they literally hit the ground running before you even can open the door. They're on it, right? So they're a bit more multitasking. They like to have lots of things going at the same time. Kind of the big difference I always say between generators and manifesting generators too is generators typically like to go step 1, step 2, step 3 through things, whereas manifesting generators will go step 1, step 7, step 3, then they're going to 9 or back to 2. And that's actually correct for them. And so again, when you really start to understand, oh, I don't have ADHD, right? Which is a big topic that I like to share with people. There are a lot of ADHD qualities that are just correct for manifesting generators. And so when you learn to embrace that and work with it, like you can do it in a healthy way that doesn't feel so sporadic, right? But that's a huge, again, permission to be you, permission that it's okay that I'm a little bit all over the board. That's actually how I'm designed, right?
Wow. Gosh,
Yeah.
even that alone, I know that you're going to go into the other ones, but even that alone, I know so many entrepreneurs are generators or manifesting generators. And it's funny because I like had people pop into my head and I'm like, yep, I bet. But it's about that permission to see ourselves in a different lens, because then we don't have to conform into something that doesn't align for us. Because then
Yeah.
it's like, that resistance, which I'm assuming on a physical level, that resistance to being who you are is actually creating more stress within your body.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. That's what it comes down to. Yeah. And one other thing with energy types, with generators or manifesting generators, because you have energy, you need to move your body. You need to do physical exercise on a regular basis. So for people who are sedentary and an energy type, that's especially, it's like you have built up energy in the body that can't move, right? And so then that starts to create almost like stagnation. So if you think about what does acupuncture do, right? So acupuncture is moving energy in the body, right? So it's a similar working with the chakra system, working with we're energetic beings, right? So it's helping us move that energy. So I see a lot of people, gain weight or create different illnesses. And it's not that exercise helps you lose weight. Like it's not such a direct thing. It's that you need to move your body. Like the
Yeah.
energy needs to move. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I love the work that I do, is because I'm working with energy, so I'm helping others move their energy, but I have to get up and move every about 45 minutes. I have to get up out of my seat, otherwise I feel like I'm like super low energy and like could just take a nap.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to like even see the parallels in what you're saying. And so I'm excited to hear how the other energies work. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you've got 3 other types, and those are the non-energy types. So you've got projector. So I'm a projector, and that's roughly 20% of the population. I think it might be up to 22 now. It's the newest type. So they have a pretty big role in the just kind of where we're going as a collective energetically. So, and then you've got about roughly 9% that are called just pure manifestors. And then you've got about 1% that is something called a reflector. So those are really unique people. And the difference between an energy type and non-energy type is really this of the centers, the 9 centers in the body graph. The sacral center is either defined if you're an energy type or undefined if you are a non-energy type. So all 3 non-energy types do not have sacral, kind of that's that sustained energy. So they have different combinations of things. So projectors are here to guide people. They're here to guide. They're here to, they have a unique ability to actually see other people better than they can see themselves. So they have a penetrating aura where they can really like see you, and sometimes it can feel uncomfortable for certain people. I don't know, I've been told this, that projectors, it's like they feel like they can just see into you, and it's kind of like whoa. So because they have that aura, they actually have to wait for invitations. So unlike a generator type, which they're waiting to respond to, they can respond to anything. They can see something, they can hear something, it could be a conversation. Projectors are actually meant to wait for some sort of an invitation, or to be recognized, right? So because the aura is really penetrating, if you were to, like, I learned this the hard way when I first was getting into nutrition because I was so excited to tell everyone what they should be doing.
Right.
And so, I was running around like, oh, you should do this. And if people didn't recognize me or ask for that, I felt huge resistance where people were just like, whoa,
Mhm.
whoa, why are you trying to tell me what I should do? And I didn't understand. And you feel it's like a bitterness that you feel. It's called your not self theme. Um,
Mhm.
and so anyway, I had to learn, like, I have to wait for clients to come to me and say, hey, can you help me with this? And then it's
Mhm.
a welcome. They recognize me, and then that's a correct way for me to enter into the things that are correct for me. So anytime I try to do something without an invitation, that's not going to be correct for me, and it's probably not going to end well.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
and then the next type, so projectors need a lot of rest. All the non-energy types, this is kind of a hard one for people to accept sometimes, is they're actually meant to sleep alone also. So because
Really?
you have these open centers, so we're constantly absorbing the energy around us,
Mm.
and we're absorbing that sacral energy from energy types. And so it's like we plug into the sacral types to get energy, so we can actually go, we can plug in and we can overdo it being around energy types, and that can drain us. So sleeping, I personally have a hard time sleeping next to people, especially if they're an energy type. I can feel it. Like I will be up all night not being able to sleep. Yeah.
Wow. That's so
So
interesting. I'd never heard of that before. That's
yeah.
interesting.
So sleep is another big way that, this integrates into health, right? We're looking at another way that you can support what is, best for your body. So that's kind of projectors, manifestors. So they're the 9% ish. And manifestors are really unique because they don't have to respond. They don't need invitations. They literally can pull something out of thin air and go. And so they have a really almost a repelling aura. And when I
Mhm.
say that, it doesn't mean that people don't like them.
Okay.
It's it's just that they have a very like, I don't need other people to do my thing kind of a thing. So
Okay.
um, so they're kind of like everyone wants to manifest, right? We're always talking about, oh, I'm going to manifest this, right? But they're the
Mhm.
only ones that truly can just get like this download of something out of thin air and be like, I'm going to go
Mhm.
do this thing. And when they go, they go.
Yeah.
So what their strategy is they are meant to inform people. So
Mm.
their big thing is if they get, let's say someone gets this idea, and let's say it's a husband and he's got a wife and kids, and he wakes up at 6 in the morning with this idea, and the wife gets up and he's just gone. She's like, where are you? Blowing his
Mhm.
phone. Well, when manifestors get in the zone, they have like this creative zone that they get into. And when they get in the zone, they're in the zone. And when the wife is calling, blowing his phone up saying, where are you? What are you doing? Why are you not here? Now you just totally disrupted his flow. And that's going to cause that person to be angry. That's their not self theme, is anger. And it's kind of this way that they can manage that by they leave a note. Hey, I'm running out. I'll be gone. Right. So you're just informing people what you're doing. You're not asking permission. You're just
Right.
informing so people are aware of what you're doing so then they don't interrupt you. So that can really be huge for anger. Anger is a big thing to feel all the time, right? Like if you're a
Mhm.
manifester and someone is constantly like, what are you doing? Where are you going? Trying to micromanage you, that is the absolute worst thing you can do to a manifester. So,
Wow. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
already thinking about like even in the business world, like, or, when you work in teams, how much
Mhm.
even having like awareness on this would alleviate a lot of things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. There's a whole business section of human design, like a whole different language and way that people use this in business world too. Yeah.
wow. So,
Um, so the last one I'll just touch on real quick is called a reflector. So the reflectors are really unique, obviously 1% of the population. And so all of their centers are open. They have nothing defined. So they are literally just absorbing everything around them. So they're extremely sensitive to their environment and who they're
mhm.
around. So it's really, really important that they are around healthy, good environments and people that they trust, that are supportive. If they go somewhere and they're not in a good environment, they need to just leave. It's not a good space for them to be in. They do need a lot of rest also. And their gift is really, um, I heard this analogy once, and I wish I could remember the name of the human design person that I heard it from, but it was probably on an Instagram reel or something.
Yeah.
I loved it. So it was kind of like taking all the different types and putting them in like a corporate setting, right? So
Mhm.
if you took the projector would be like the CEO, right?
Mhm.
So they're kind of the guide overseeing all the things. You would put the generators, they would be like the sales team, right? So they're out there getting things done, right? Doing all the work behind the scenes. And then the manifestors would be like marketing, right? They're coming up with these ideas and then passing it off to the manifesting generators. And the reflector would be almost like a consultant that would come in and assess the health of the company, right? So they would be able to come in and see the blind spots, what isn't working, what is working. It's like they can feel into kind of the ins and outs of a community or a group or a
Mhm.
setting and read it and be able to kind of give feedback on it. So,
Wow.
yeah. So
That's
anyway,
so cool. I love that.
yeah. So that's kind of the high level. They all have also, besides the strategy and authority. So we talked about the gut, sacral kind of response for things. Half the population is emotional. So they actually have to ride an emotional wave before they make a decision, which is a good thing
Mhm.
to know if you're an emotional type, right?
Yeah.
If you're making a lot of decisions on an emotional high without letting that settle back down, you're going to probably
Mhm.
end up in some situations that you are not thrilled with.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, my brain is just like going. I just love.
I'm sorry, I could go on and on. It's a
No,
lot.
well, it's because like we don't talk about a lot of these different practices. And, like I said yesterday, like this is one of the big reasons why I love having conversations with people like you who see things in a different way, practice things, we're similar, but like,
Yeah.
in this other way. And it's so helpful because people just don't know what they don't know. And all of this ancient wisdom is really coming forward. And so to have, people who have really dove in, tried to understand it, and are able to make it digestible, because what you just shared, like that's a master class right there on like, human design 101.
Yeah.
And so let's shift it into nutrition. And how are you weaving this information? And well, let me just back up. How were you led into the functional world and holistic healing and the human design combined? Now, I know that you mentioned your own personal journey, so we know that much, but what drew you into nutrition in general?
Yeah. So, my grandmother, I was very, very close to my grandmother when I was younger. And she passed away when I was 18. She was only 65 of lymphoma cancer. And I am a spitting image of my grandma. To this day, I'll be in the kitchen and if I'm at my mom's house and she's like, I'll do something. And she'd be like, whoa, I just saw your grandma, like my mannerisms and, she lives in me. Right. So, when she passed away really young, I don't know, there was just something that went off in my subconscious mind where I was like, whoa, those are my genes. I'm not
Mm,
going to die at 65. What does that even mean? Right. And I have a bit of an insatiable curiosity. And so I think that just made me really curious about what can I do and what is genes and what is nutrition. And so it took me a while. I mean, I probably didn't really, really get into nutrition until my mid to late 20s.
mhm,
Um, and then decided to go back to school and do the whole thing because I really was feeling called to help people. And I wasn't sure how, but then I was really passionate about nutrition. And so the two just kind of made sense.
yeah.
So that's kind of how I ended up getting into nutrition. I went to Bastyr University in the Seattle area and was about to start graduate school there and went to a weekend conference on functional medicine. And my brain went, I was like, whoa, what is this? Right. And so I ended up
Mhm.
switching to a different graduate program literally a month before I was going to start and did nutrition and
Wow.
functional medicine instead, which I'm so glad I found that. So yeah, so I did that, like I said, for quite a while. And then I've always been into kind of the woo a little bit.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I've studied astrology for many, many years, and then came across actually gene keys. I don't know if you've heard of gene
Yes,
keys.
I have. Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so fascinating.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a spin-off from human design. So I actually found gene keys first and then
Mm,
came back to human design, and I love both, but human design is just more mechanical and tangible to work with.
mhm,
So so yeah, so that's just again, I was like, this is something I'm so passionate about. I see so much value in how it helps me and my friends. I was like helping all my friends and my friends' kids.
mhm,
Oh my gosh, that's a whole nother thing. Like and something I'm going to create at some point is a program or a course for parents, for kids, because if you can understand your child's human design, and I've done this with close friends,
mhm.
and help support their unique energy from a young age, wow, it's a game changer. It's
Yeah.
huge.
I
Yeah.
can I can only imagine because one thing that I've come to understand, and this was something that was, I'm very, very open about how I channel information. And one of the things that came through was that as parents, we are meant to really shift the dynamic between parent and child,
Mhm.
where we're no longer a hierarchy. Like, of course, we don't want them to burn up the house or hurt themselves. Okay. And I'm not talking about gentle parenting, I'm talking about guiding.
Mhm.
So, allowing children to really fully embody who they are so that they can become the creation that they were here and designed to be. And it does require more of us. Like, we're kind of that generation, and I'm like lumping us all in together. But, we're kind of the generation that's ending a lot of these cycles. And I see this so often in my practice where we're doing this generational work, and we're starting to finally see the breakdown to really see, okay, how's the way forward? And like what you're saying is understanding your child and how they function.
Mhm.
It not only supports them, but think about the energy that it conserves for you, because then how do I need to approach this situation and respond
Mhm.
and versus react. And it just creates a different language between parent and child where, again, we're not saying like don't teach them boundaries, don't teach, structure is great, but then knowing how they function, how you function, and how can you come together as that family, because more than likely you have some similarities anyway, and
Sure.
that's why you butt heads and all of it.
Yeah.
I think that will be an amazing gift to the world, because we know that what's currently not working is how I'll say it.
Yeah. Well,
um,
we're parenting kids all the same, right?
mhm,
And they're not all the same. It's like even two kids in the same family. If you have a projector and a manifesting generator, very different way you're going to parent those kids, or a manifester. So who's meant to just take off and do their own thing and doesn't like being told what to do. So I guess when you can honor and understand and then like give them space to be them within a certain parameter, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
giving them a bigger sandbox to play in, right?
Yeah. So, and let's wrap this into, okay, so in human design, and what I love about human design, and you mentioned it earlier, it's a structure. Like, it's very much set in place, and there's a science to it. I'm pretty sure there's math to it. But in knowing how you even process food is a part of it.
Hmm.
So, can you dive into how we start to look at nutrition and human design and how we can support ourselves?
Yeah. So I think for me, there is a whole thing called it's a whole subset that is more of a health subset of human design, and I have mixed feelings about it. I'll be honest.
Mm,
I do think that there is some really great information in that system. It's kind of a
mhm.
subsystem, um, and I feel like it's one of those things. And with human design, what I want to kind of express, even though this is a very it's a framework, it's not exact, right? So they call it the human design experiment, and it's a 7 year, you learn about it, you try it on, and you get comfortable with it, you decondition. So with the whole health aspect of this, um, I do think you have to kind of try it on and play around with it and see if it rings true for you. So, and
Mm,
I only say that because my there's a thing in human design called digestion, and it's kind of
mhm.
has to do with how you digest not just food, but information and the world and your environment and all that kind of stuff. So, um, mine is like loud noise or high noise. Like, so I'm supposed to have music or sound or be in noisy places to digest food better. Which is funny because I do have music on a lot or things like that. But I'm also really sensitive to noise. Like if I'm
Mm.
at a coffee, like, or working on something and I have to focus, I can't have noise. So it's
Mm.
one of those things where I'm like, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how that rings true. But there are layers upon layers when you get more in the details of, and what I think that is great about it is it's a roadmap and it's something here, try this
Mhm.
on and see how it feels for you. Does it help you? Do you feel better doing that? Great. Go with that. If not, if it's not resonating and it doesn't ring true, that's okay. Like you can leave it. So that's kind of how I go through this.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, black and white.
yeah, what I'm getting is that essentially a lot of your focus is helping people with the energy aspect, because we know that, everything that we do, everything that we output and everything that we input affects our energy.
Mhm.
And, with all of these different, even like down to the Myers-Briggs and all these different personality, tests that are out there, we still have to individualize all of it,
Yep.
because we are so individual. And I know that human design is even making a shift in the next year, I think,
Yeah,
question mark.
2027. Mhm.
Yeah, 2027. And so, because we're always evolving. And I think that that's, one of the biggest things is like, if we take things as black and white and we're following it and we feel the resistance, then, we can kind of start to question, okay, what out of this is out of alignment and how can I shift it going forward, versus taking it on so concretely that, like, oh, if I don't do this. And I think it's we've been, if you've been in the nutrition world or the fitness world, we've seen all of it.
Mm.
Well, everybody has. It's like one day eggs are great, next day it's going to kill you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like, like what I'm hearing you say is like really play with it and see what your experience is, because maybe like for me, just like what you were saying is like, mine is I need very quiet space to
Mm.
do like food and things. And there's an element that I appreciate out of that. I don't necessarily like, restaurants aren't my favorite thing because there's so much going on. And I also enjoy time with others in a restaurant setting. So it's like there's like elements of it that I, like you said, that I agree with, and then others that I'm like, yeah, I can go without.
Yeah.
But even down to, I love music, but when I need to focus, they either need to be in headphones or not at all. And
Okay.
it's really interesting, like little bitty things that are different,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that that's the thing. Like when you look at something like this system, um, there's things that can conflict within it, right? So you might have this energy in this way, but then you have this other thing that actually contradicts that. So it again, you have to take the whole thing into account and kind of feel into it. So I don't I don't ever encourage people to be rigid with this and like, oh well, this is what is in my chart, so I need to do it this way. I don't
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, I think for me, the big thing of how I'm kind of marrying health and nutrition with human design, um, and what I see kind of showing up in people's health is I want people to really be able to get back to their authentic self, right? What is
Mhm.
authentic for you? And this is just a tool and a guide to help you tune back into your body and try things on and be able to figure that out. So when I see a lot of illness, you have your physical body, and then we have kind of our energy body, right, or our etheric body, and that is where a lot of actually health issues start, right? Because it's this incongruent match between our soul and who we are at our core and our physical body, right? So
Mhm.
when we're showing up in situations where we're people pleasing or we're saying yes to things that we don't really want to do or putting everyone else first, this is really common in our culture, and
Mhm.
our soul, our authentic self is saying, hey, this isn't you. This isn't right. Why are you saying that? Why aren't you speaking up? Why aren't you standing up for yourself or whatever that is? And so what happens is your physical body starts to present symptoms, and that's actually your body communicating with you. Your body is trying to get your attention and saying, hey, this is not right. We're not in alignment right now. You need to do something different. So, and we ignore those symptoms, right? We ignore all of that. And then it just gets worse. It starts as a whisper and then it smacks you upside the head eventually if you don't listen. So,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. I 1,000% agree. I have started to look at disease so differently since becoming a practitioner. And that can be really hard to hear if you've gone through like a hard experience. I mean, even you have your grandmother who went through lymphoma, and like just being aware of that can be a challenge to know
yeah.
that like some of this is just us being out of alignment. Now, there are environmental
I
factors.
also know she actually had
Yeah.
massive emotional trauma that I was
Oh.
able to connect. So I can look back now and see that actually I believe the root of why she got sick. Yes,
Mhm,
her diet was not amazing,
mhm.
but I actually think it started from more of an emotional trauma and things that went on in her life. Yeah, sorry, I
Yes.
didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, no, please. No, I love whenever people can connect that from a hard experience, because it's one thing for me to say it who has never gone through that experience, but then to hear somebody who's actually watched somebody and knows of the backstory, you can really start connecting the dots the more
yeah.
and more, because the body is always speaking to us. And I
Mhm.
think you're kind of alluding to my next question, which was you talk about root healing.
Mhm.
And can you really share what that means in your practice, and how has your philosophy evolved over time?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's constantly evolving. Um, so I kind of live by the when you know better, do better motto. So even as a practitioner, I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly wanting to get better at what I'm doing. And I'm not attached to something I learned 10 years ago as this being the be all end all, right? So it's one of the things that makes, I think, me a little unique is that I'm always kind of evolving and changing how I do things and what my approach is. Some people love that, some people don't.
Yeah.
You know, but I think the big thing is just I'm always changing. I guess what's always changing is what is the actual root cause? And that's what always drives me is the why. Well, why is this happening? Right. And so that's what's always moving is the why. And I keep learning more, and there's another layer, and then there's another layer. Right. And so
Mhm.
that's kind of where I'm at now, where the things that I'm really focusing on are circadian rhythm, circadian biology, hydration, proper hydration, mineral balance. It's like going back to these basic things that being in alignment. Obviously food and nutrition is important, and as kind of a foundation, moving your body, stress management, sleep. So it's like these foundational things that maybe in the past I would start with more supplements, right? Because that was kind of my go-to. Oh, you have this symptom, let me give you this supplement, which I think in the functional medicine world, it's a slippery slope, and we've almost replaced supplements with prescription medications for a lot of practitioners. And we've gotten away from really root cause and whole body approach. So
Mhm.
that's kind of what I focus on, is just kind of bringing that back to the basics and starting there. And then once we get those things into balance and more aligned, then, oh, okay, what's still going on? What do we still need to focus on that maybe isn't being addressed or being resolved from what we've already done?
Yeah, which is such a different approach. And I love that, because we're so focused first on what does the body need from a like external processing
Yeah.
part. And like it's great. And we have all this availability to us. And gosh, there's a supplement for everything. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure one day we'll have a supplement for water. But,
Probably.
you know, take this pill,
Jetsons.
you'll be hydrated. Um, but saying that, because my background is in the health industry, so like I've seen it all, and I've seen it change so many times. And what I just keep hearing you say is like, but when we really find the root cause, then we can start to work backwards instead of just instantly inputting what is missing.
Yeah.
because it's missing for a purpose.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, the body is depleted in some area because it's telling you something. Like
Mhm.
instead of reaching for the extra cup of coffee, figure out why you're actually tired,
Right.
and it's so easy for us because again, like you mentioned earlier, we're constantly feeling as if we have to compete, stay with the Joneses, do all the things. Like if your task list for your mind is not like 100 tasks involved, then you are not doing it right.
Right.
That's not sustainable. And I think it's really interesting that, again, like being able to see it and actually honor the fact that we have shifted into supplements over, medication. And it's like, hey, wait, just allow the body to recalibrate first
Mhm.
and kind of continue to be more inquisitive. And the last thing that I'll kind of tap into is that, we heal in those layers, and those layers of why change every time we find something.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really interesting that you're like, yeah, I just keep figuring out that it's like this, and then there's a subcategory, and then there's another subcategory. It's kind of like
Mhm.
your Google Drive folders, like like 12 deep.
Right.
Maybe that's why the find the why is like so prevalent. You could do it
Yeah.
for anything.
Yeah.
Um, and so what are some of the signs that people might be or like energetically misaligned,
Mhm.
even when they're eating like all the right foods or doing all the right things? What does that present like for a person who's very new to paying attention to their body?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest symptom that I see that is a screaming red flag is burnout, right? If you're feeling
Mhm.
burnt out, that is your body is screaming at you, you are not in alignment, right? But it can be more subtle. It can be just fatigue, right? If you're having a lot of fatigue, gut issues, think of how when we talk about things, oh, that made me sick to my stomach, right? Or like how we feel emotions in our gut, right? Or stress, right? So if you're under a lot of stress and you're grinding and pushing through when you don't have the energy, you're pushing your body into a sympathetic state, right? In your nervous system. And so your nervous system is a huge part of being in misalignment, right? So when your nervous system is not aligned and you're in this constant fight or flight or sympathetic, it shuts down digestion. Your sleep is going to suffer. You're going to have, weight loss resistance potentially because your body isn't able to burn fat and use energy the way that it's supposed to. Your metabolism can be off. You can be anxiety, depression. Those are both huge red flags that you're not in alignment, right? So um, I think we're getting away from the story that it's chemical imbalances in the brain. I don't buy that at all. I think it's in misalignment, right? It's anxiety is worrying about something that hasn't happened, and depression is dwelling on things that have happened, right? So it's just your body is saying, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. So what are you doing that's out of alignment that's making your body feel that way? I would challenge people who maybe are dealing with depression, anxiety to really look at the areas in their life where they don't feel aligned. Are you doing a job that you hate every single day? Are you in a relationship that's miserable, but you're staying in it because of the kids and grinding through it? Which I don't judge that at all. I don't have kids. And so I've not been through that experience to say, but I'm just saying it's something to look at.
Mhm.
Because I think there are things there that you can do to be more true and authentic to yourself to help pull yourself out of some of these mood disorders. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's a lot of things, misalignment symptoms, but those are just a few of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I see it in my practice a lot, whenever we're living out of alignment. And a great friend of mine said, you're always aligned to something, but what are you aligned to? And that
Mm.
really resonated for me. I was like, oh, wow, like that makes so much, it's just like light bulb moment. And it's true because we can always tell when we're not doing something that is like basically like within our soul to be doing.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, you get really uncomfortable, and that uncomfortableness, if you're just suppressing it, and like you're saying, the sympathetic nervous system like shuts down everything that's non-essential.
Yeah.
And even then it's a strain on those essential things because it's trying to conserve. And like, I think it was somebody that said you can, I think maybe it was you that said that the heart can shrink up to like 40 or 70% or something like that. Like, I have to go
Oh,
back and look at the percentage. Don't quote me on
yeah.
that yet.
Okay.
But it's like when you're in that constant state of stress, it can over half of your heart can constrict, and then we
Wow.
wonder why we have heart attacks and
Yeah.
strokes and all of these things. And oh my gosh, I could go like on forever.
We can talk forever on
Yeah,
these
we
things.
could talk forever. So let me just see here. If somebody is, first of all, we need a part two on this, because there's just so much, and I love it. And we have a lot of aligned, like a lot of synergy around the work that we do. And it's really amazing and cool to get to have a conversation with someone who just kind of gets it. And
Yeah.
what I love about the work that you're doing is it's not for you, it's for others. And you were saying earlier, you're like, I just want to help people come back to themselves. And even when you were 18, you knew you wanted to help others heal, you just weren't sure how. And I hear this so often in practitioners that are out there and doing the work that you're doing. And so it's really cool how you followed your intuitive nudge, even down to like the month before. You're like, yeah, I don't know, I need to really do this. And then it bloomed into what you're doing now. So I love that you honored yourself in that way, because now you're getting to help so many people come back to that understanding.
Yeah.
So one last question, and then I want to know how people can, work with you or get to know you. What's one misbelief that you wish you could shift that people would understand about their health? Like one thing that they're,
Mhm. Wow, that's a big one. I think the biggest thing that I want people to know is that the body has an incredible ability to heal itself, and we just have to get out of its way,
that's
right?
big. That's really, that, like, so simple, but so
Yeah.
powerful. Does it, like, oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah. So how can you support your body's ability to heal? Like how can you create an environment for your body to heal and thrive, right? So
Mhm.
all the things that we've been kind of talking about, like that's how you create that environment. And then you just trust and believe that your body is much wiser than any doctor to be able
Mhm.
to figure out how to heal itself, right? So I think that's the biggest thing. We've been really brainwashed, I think, in a way to outsource health. We don't do anything without, I got to talk to my doctor, right? And we intuitively, if we just tune in and we listen to our body and we actually pay attention and we support it, um, we have a lot of the answers already within us if we just listen and listen to what it's trying to communicate. So I think
Yeah.
I also want to just give people their power back, right? To take their power back and their health and their authentic self and their autonomy, right? And to be more of a sovereign health guru for themselves, right? Rather than an external source for that.
Oh my gosh, I love that. They're so, yeah, my mind is just going because I just, yes. How can people connect with you? Do you have any programs that you are launching or anything that we need to be aware of?
Yeah. So I work one-on-one with people, so you can always do a one-on-one session with me. I just a couple months ago launched a health and human design course. So it's an amazing entry-level course that walks you through all the different energy types and then specifically how you might be out of alignment, how that might connect to your health, and then gives you really tangible, actionable steps that you can start to do to use your human design to improve your health. There's lots of exercises in there. There's um, like journal exercises, different rituals you can do to help you kind of get in alignment. So I created it as kind of a foundational course to introduce people to that connection between their human design and health. So you can go to my website, which is nourishthrive.com, and you'll see under human design that course. It's called Your Body by Design. And then
Hmm.
I also, if you want to just like dabble in it and test it out, there's a free download report. It's a personalized report. You can get your human design chart so you can see what type you are. And then it'll give you a little quick report that shows 3 ways you can start using your human design to improve your health. So those are kind of two ways people can introduce themselves if they're not familiar, and just check it out. And then, other than that, just one-on-one work on Instagram. So Nourish Thrive Nutrition, they can follow me there as well.
Awesome. And I'll make sure that we have all of the links to all of you, basically. People can connect. And I'll be putting it in the newsletter at the end of the week so that people can, again, just really understand, if they're interested, how to connect with you and everything. And again, thank you to everyone who has attended. I know we went a little bit over, but like it's so divinely aligned, and I'm grateful to you for your time. So thank you for taking the extra time today.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next
so good.
time.
Thank you so much. This was amazing. Let's do it again.
Absolutely.